persons from the People's Democratic Party for anti-party activities and gross breaches. The following members: His Excellency Wike, His Excellency Ayo Fayoshe, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, Honorable Umar Batur, Adeyemi Ajibade, SAN, Muhammad Abdurrahman, Senator Mao Ohabua, Honorable Austin Wachuku, Abraham George Turner, and Chief Dan Obi. And respect the eyes of the public on account of despicable conduct of the former governor of Rivers State and this man he recruited to help him destroy the party, contrary to Articles 58, subsection 1, subsection B, and subsection I of our Constitution. I, Chief Olabode George, hereby move that this convention should expel this person so mentioned above from the People's Democratic Party. I so move.
Liberal Shoma, who joins me live from our Abuja studio. Mr. Shoma, thank you for joining us again on Beyond the Headlines. Very interesting development we're following here. As mentioned, we had conflicting rulings and Oyo State High Court allowing the convention, ordering INEC to monitor, versus a federal High Court restraining INEC because of Lamido's exclusion. How do such conflicting court orders happen, and which is likely to prevail in practice?
Yeah, Nifemi, thank you, and thank you to our viewers. And it is sad that once again, the PDP, a party that was formed sometimes in August 1998, with various associations and organizations, political parties coming together, sheathed their sword, and decided to come together to pursue an agenda for him.
Be careful, people are behind you.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, my Lord, the Honorable the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Chairman Board of Governors, Supreme Court, and she is
Honorable Justice Olatokunbo Kekereekun, the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Chairman of Nigeria Judicial Council. All other protocols observed before I don't want to resurrect Latif Jakande. It is with profound, deep sense of honor and deep respect that I address you this morning at the opening ceremony of the 2025 All Nigerian Judges Conference of the Superior Courts. The Assembly is not merely a binary tradition. It is an extraordinary convocation of men and women upon whose wisdom, courage, and integrity rests the stability of our democracy. The protection of our Constitution, the preservation of the rights and liberty of every Nigerian. You are the one. Whenever Nigeria has faced moments of uncertainty, history has recorded that the judiciary stood firm as the stabilizing force of our national life. It is through the courage of the judges and their judicial pronouncements that tyranny has been restrained, constitutional order preserved, and the voice of justice amplified above the noise of division and despair. For this enduring role, I stand on behalf of the government and the good people of our country, our deepest gratitude and abiding respect. The theme of this year's conference, Building a Confident Judiciary, could not be more fitting. Confidence is a judgment may be grounded in law and delivered with clarity, but unless the public perceives it to be fair, impartial, and untainted, its moral authority is diminished. The confidence of the people is therefore not an abstract aspiration. It is a living measure of the judiciary's legitimacy and the true currency of justice. We must acknowledge with candor that public perception of the judicial process has not always been favorable. Citizens have expressed frustration at delays, concerns about integrity, and anxiety over access to justice. These perceptions, whether wholly justified or not, cannot be ignored. They call upon us to reflect, to reform, and to restore. For ultimately, justice does not exist for the bench or the bar. It exists for the people. Their faith in judicial process is the foundation of our national stability. In this regard, I wish to reaffirm with the clarity and conviction the unwavering commitment of my administration to support the judiciary in fulfilling its constitutional mandate. The judiciary does not exist in isolation. It functions within a larger democratic framework which all three arms of government must work in synergy with the mutual respect and shared responsibility to the Nigerian people. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary must remain united by purpose, even when separated by function. My administration believes that a judiciary that is strong in capacity, efficient in process, and uncompromising in integrity is not merely desirable, it is indispensable to the survival of our democracy and prosperity of our nation. We cannot build a just society without a fearless and functional judiciary. In this spirit, we have resolved to provide the institutional and material support that will enable our courts to perform their duties with dignity, confidence, and efficiency. Support must be tangible, not ceremonial, and I mean it. It must translate into improved working conditions, modern infrastructure, and well-equipped courtrooms where justice is dispensed promptly and transparently. Our court must no longer be places where cases languished for years. They must become beacons of efficiency, where disputes are resolved swiftly, and where litigants depart will renew confidence in the rule of law. The modernization of judicial infrastructure remains a central priority. Technology is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. The digitization of our court process, the adoption of integrated cases management system, and the provision of secured and reliable judicial facilities will receive sustained attention from this administration. A digital, transparent judiciary.
We came to have an interface with the Commissioner of Police of the FCT regarding the meeting we've planned we are going to have tomorrow. We are going to have the inaugural National Working Committee meeting of our party, the People's Democratic Party. At this meeting, we have invited all our stakeholders and founding fathers. We've invited all our governors and members of the National Assembly. We've invited members of the Board of Trustees, our state chairman, and other critical stakeholders. And so, as law-abiding people, we've come here to tell the police that we are having our meeting tomorrow, and this will be the inaugural meeting since we left Ibadan after our election at our National Elective Convention. Now, we have seen flying in the social media a purported notice of BOT and NEC meeting given by people who, for all intent and purposes, we came to have an interface with the Commissioner of Police of the FCT regarding the meeting we've planned we are going to have tomorrow. We are going to have the inaugural National Working Committee meeting of our party, the People's Democratic Party. At this meeting, we have invited all our stakeholders and founding fathers. We've invited all our governors and members of the National Assembly. We've invited members of the Board of Trustees, our state chairman, and other critical stakeholders. And so, as law-abiding people, we've come here to tell the police that we are having our meeting tomorrow. And this will be the inaugural meeting since we left Ibadan after our election at our National Elective Convention. Now, we have seen flying in the social media a purported notice of BOT and NEC meeting given by people who, for all intent and purposes, are no longer members of this party as I'm talking to you today. Next to God in management of political party is the National Convention. The decision taken in a national convention overrides every other decision that has been taken by any organ of a party. Our National Convention had taken a decision to expel these elements from the party, and so they are no longer members of our party. And so we have reported the moves they are making to the police, because we don't want any situation where there will be breach of peace. As leaders, more than any other person, we want peace to be sustained. This democracy that our leaders, our forefathers, had sacrificed their lives to bring about to this level, we shall be ready to also give our own life to sustain this democracy. The meeting in our National Secretariat, which is the Wadata House, and anybody that is sitting there without our consent and permission is an interloper. We have not sought for the assistance of the police or any other security agencies to lock up our offices. Now, we are going there, we'll have the offices opened, we will get in there and then begin to perform the functions for which we've been elected. I have assured the Commissioner of Police of the FCT that while we will ensure that no breach of the peace occurs, we will go there prepared to defend ourselves and our integrity as Nigerians, because Nigerian Constitution has given us the right to defend our persons, our lives, our properties, so that we are prepared to do. And let me reiterate again for avoidance of doubt, to defend our party, to defend this nascent democracy, we are prepared to lay down our lives. We will go there to move into our headquarters to conduct our official functions, and if anybody tries to prevent us, then we pray for them.
What time is your meeting tomorrow? Because these people will...
Tomorrow, circulars have gone out. We shall be there unfailingly. I, as the national chairman of PDP, will be leading from the front, not from the rear. We shall be there tomorrow. The CP had given us assurance that they will do everything it takes to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order. And that is our expectation from him. So we will be there hoping that the police will make sure that they give us all the ample protection that we're entitled to under the law. And that assurance we've gotten. So we shall be there.
Hey, Mr. Allah, come now, come back now.
Please now, watch this thing.
I tell you now, this I could possibly do, I tell you. My car is up.
have joining us now, Anthony Ohilebo.
Hala
Ohilebo is a member of the PDP. He's also online. Thank you for joining us. We have just a few minutes.
Now 2027. Oh, sorry, 2028. Oh, sorry, 2031. Now 2031 starts. 2027 is over, right? Let's just know that. But let's come back to the now and forget about the future. Is this the end of Wike and PDP relationship? I say no. I disagree. I disagree with that. PDP, there's no PDP going forward without Wike. So I think it's a little bit too late for the expulsion from the party as a member or as whatever it's laughable. But that's what they can do right now to get not just attention, but to, in a way, maybe send signal to those who don't, to his hater that yes, you can still come back to us and rely on us again, because there's no better time to pull off this shenanigan than now that Wike is at the top of his game, in the sense that he's the most popular. Let's put Tinubu out of this game. Maybe he will be out of it, Atiku, but I think Wike is up there, top 5. One will argue, the most popular politician right now in the country. Whether you hate him or you like him, or Wike right now is the top 5 most popular politician in the country. So if there's a better time for PDP to, let the people know that we are still here. Yes, we might be going through some up and down right now, but we are serious people. This is the time. So everything is pretty much, everybody's capitalizing on what happened between Wike and the soldier. That's what it is about. Let's hear from young PDP.
Left before we conclude this interview. And one of the things that we asked Austin before you got here was the acceptability of the convention that held in Ibadan at the weekend. There were, I think, 2 court judgments and 1 ex parte order. You are a lawyer. I'm sure you understand the implications of that. Now, how acceptable do you think the outcome of that convention is in the light of these court rulings?
Okay, so I would like to give us just an analogy that will quickly explain all of this. I want to believe the PDP comes off as a sick family member, and in that family, there are people who want that sick family member to die, and they will do everything to prevent that family member getting to surgery. So those that really care, and it's really the Solomon story, you want to divide the baby or do you want to save the baby? There were 3 pronouncements of courts. And
they wonder where this guy did, because he was very vocal during leading to the election, and after the election, I don't just hear from the guy again. So now that the course is as if it's becoming clearer, the guy coming. So I will find out who is his godfather, Nashena Atiku, because obviously all in they look for a job, in the sense that he's looking for sponsor within the party. So, and I'll see, we'll find out. I like the guy though.
By judicial precedence, the last in time is a pronouncement of the court. Is it that you go back to that court to reverse it, or you go to a higher court? And the courts in Oyo State, the state high court in Oyo State, made a pronouncement on Friday mandating the PDP and INEC to observe that convention. And the convention has happened.
But was INEC there? INEC wasn't there.
Now, have you read the Electoral Act? There's no mandatory, the only mandatory thing that is required are the statutory notices. And those statutory notices were issued to INEC. And INEC, if it did not attend the convention, was in contravention of a valid court pronouncement. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe that it is right or wrong, once a pronouncement of the court has been made, you are duty bound to obey it. And the PDP obeyed the pronouncement of the Oyo State High Court. In any case, the highest organ of the body, the highest organ of the political party called PDP, it's its convention. And that convention, if it decides so moto that any male within the PDP should be called female tomorrow, that and so shall it be. And our courts, at the highest level, the Supreme Court, have held in several judgments that internal affairs, especially when it comes to elective matters of a political party, are solely within its prerogative. Sir, let me say something. A lot of people who have bad intentions, but they're not even just for PDP, for Nigeria, and because they are benefiting from the ruling party, have worked with them to cause chaos and continuous recticide within the PDP. It took Ambassador Ilya Dimagun sacrificing himself and saying, you know what? My tenure ends on the 15th and 16th at an election. And that's what it's going to be.
All right, Austin, because of time, Anthony, because of time, let me take you to another issue he raised so you can respond to that, just to strike a balance. He raised the PDP constitution. You're both members of the PDP. Yes. That's quite interesting. And in your, I don't know which chapter is this, a page, but this is section 4. It says, where an allegation is made against a member of the party, the disciplinary committee shall inform the member in writing of the allegation made against him and the place and time of hearing the case against him. And then 5, a member who appears before a disciplinary committee shall be given opportunity to present his case orally or in writing, either in person or through counsel, and shall be allowed to call witnesses. Now these, and then the 6th one, any decision taken against a member who has not been informed of the charges against him shall be null and void. This is your constitution, really. Yes. So
again,
going by this, the expulsion.
So don't go too far.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't go too far. I told you now that if the convention says this person moving forward is a woman, the convention has the sole authority to dissolve the NWC.
Okay, no, I'm talking about the expulsion.
Regardless of what, see, the highest decision-making body of the party is the National Convention. If you have done everything, gone everywhere, and you come back to that convention, and a motion is moved on the floor of the convention, as it is, so shall it be.
Is there a part of this constitution that speaks to that?
Yes,
what you
the
talked
convention.
About now?
I'm not. I mean, I didn't.
You don't know the chapter,
I should start going to the convention.
No. Just speak to it. Just speak to it.
You don't need to.
Just speak to it.
I'm speaking to it because I was a member of the Constitution Review Committee in 2017.
Okay.
And a part of this constitution says the convention is the highest decision-making body. It doesn't matter whether. Let me tell you. And by the way, there's a Chief Tommy Kimi report that recommends, and that is the chairman of the disciplinary committee, and that report has been sent to NEC. That report was sent to NEC. I'm aware of it.
So you are saying that the people who were expelled at that convention stand expelled?
Oh, very much so.
You are saying that the people who were elected at that convention stand elected?
Yes, you cannot undo what the convention. You know why most people who are against the convention were against the convention? Because they know the power of the convention. They know the power of it. No matter what you read and write and you put that. I know, I was part of the draft of this constitution. I know that the convention, and everybody accepts that the convention is the highest decision-making body of the party.
And is empowered to go against your constitution when it's taking a decision.
Do you know the amendment of the constitution?
It can jettison the constitution, really.
Yes.
Okay.
The convention is the only place where you can amend the constitution.
Has it been amended?
But the convention, that motion for expulsion, was a motion moved on the convention floor.
Let me also.
It's just let me say something. It's just like an amendment. I'm sorry, I have this little time, and you would allow me
You
to
have
say
just a
this.
few. You have just a few seconds left because
you see,
we must go
see
now.
that it's not your normal. A convention has so much power, especially the convention of the PDP. And that is why they did everything to stop the convention. But you know what? Guess what? 15th and 16th has happened. Some people have been expelled. And so it is. And so rightly so.
We don't.
PDP, my guys here, I'm ready to lay down my life to protect the family.
Anarchy,
As a politician to the core. And I like the guy because he's young, so I don't I'm not surprised at his rhetoric. So they are the bridge between yesterday and tomorrow PDP. And if I'm not going to lie, if there's one party that that I am ready to join today on ground, na PDP, for two obvious reasons. There's a place for young people, or I think there's a place for new ideas, even though there's nobody actually putting that forward and making that case for them. But most importantly, there's also, they need young people, especially today's young people in Nigeria, they don't get party. That's why they are easily to go with personalities like Obi instead of party. And Obi, because he's so selfish and he don't really care about the futures of the country, he refused to institutionalize his movement to the benefit of the people, to the nation going forward. But that's a different conversation entirely. So, because if I'm Obi, if I'm in his shoes, or anybody that wants to actually, that really want to change Nigeria in the real sense of that word, that's the way to go with us. You have to institutionalize a movement that will live beyond you. And I think that's what they failed to. Our leaders failed to see. Anyway, let's continue the argument.
Tonight, we're opening with a dramatic shake-up inside the People's Democratic Party at this weekend's national convention in Ibadan. PDP delegates passed a sweeping motion to expel several high-profile members, including Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, former Ekiti State Governor of Ayoshe, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, the party's suspended national secretary, and others. The PDP says these expulsions were for anti-party activities and for causing disunity through litigation. At the same time, they dissolved party structures in several states, including Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Imo, and a couple of others, signaling what many say is a bold and controversial move to reset internal power centers. But what was supposed to be a high-stakes gathering to elect new party leadership turned into a courtroom flashpoint. That's because 3 different courts issued contradictory rulings. Some stopped the convention altogether, while another allowed it to proceed. One Abuja court halted INEC from monitoring or recognizing the outcome, saying the PDP had failed to follow due process. Then, in a separate case, we saw Justice Peter Lifu of another Abuja High Court barring the convention unless Sule Lamido, a former governor, was allowed to buy a nomination form for national chairman. Yet in Ibadan, few hours to that exercise, and Oyo State High Court gave the PDP a green light again to go ahead, ordering INEC to attend, monitor, and observe. So to help us make sense of this legal and political moment, what it means for internal party democracy, the rule of law, and PDP's future, I'm joined by political analyst and legal practitioner Libera Soshoma, who joins me live from our Abuja studio. Mr. Shoma, thank you for joining us again on Beyond the Headlines. Very interesting development we're following here. As mentioned, we had conflicting rulings and Oyo State High Court allowing the convention, ordering INEC to monitor, versus a federal High Court restraining INEC because of Lamido's exclusion. How do such conflicting court orders happen, and which is likely to prevail in practice?
Yeah, Nifemi, thank you, and thank you to our viewers. And it is sad that once again, the PDP, a party that was formed sometimes in August 1998, with various associations and organizations, political parties coming together, sheathed their sword, and decided to come together to pursue an agenda for a better Nigeria. We're represented by about 34 members. You have the Bamanga Tukos, the Tony Aneni, even including the Sule Lamido that you mentioned, late Sunday Awoni, Solomon La and Co, Alex Ekweme, coming together to bet what is today known as PDP. But unfortunately, typical of Nigerian politicians, will find out that their exit from power had consistently, created problems for them. Thanks to also the flip-flop and the ping-pong rulings that we had seen. It's almost, somebody described it as acquired rulings from the judiciary, but I wouldn't want to use such words. We saw this in 2015, immediately after their exit from office. It was as if the PDP never prepared for life outside office. When you had Abuja High Court and the same Wike, Port Harcourt High Court, today Abuja will give judgment in favor of the Modu Sharif faction, and then tomorrow another court will give judgment in favor of the McAfee-led faction until the McAfee-led faction prevail at the Supreme Court. And today, if you remember, was it Shegu Adeniyi, former spokesperson of the president of Nigeria, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, Umar Musa Yar'Adua, did in his book made mention of the 1992 presidential election where governors were in Abuja. The moment Justice Ikpeme gave that order, other governors were calling. Remember them, you had governors who were already sworn in, and then you had a military ruler at IBB. And so all of those governors were calling their state chief judges to also give counter orders, calling the attorney generals to go file motion. So what the picture he was trying to paint then was that some of these orders can be procured. So in the same vein, today we see 4 cases altogether. You had 3 FCT, and then the Oyo State where the convention was to hold. I would have been shocked if a high court in Oyo would not give a judgment. And typical, that one came last. It came on Friday, and then the convention held on Saturday. So you would say when the equities are equal. Here, what you have is that when judgments are given, you say the last in time. Unlike when the equities are equal, you say the first in time. So you would say the last judgment gave them the go-ahead. Whether, considering the status of the other 3 ruling by the same court of coordinate jurisdiction, whether this action will be sustained beyond this is another different ballgame, which I wouldn't want to go into. If you remember also, this was the challenge that the APC had in Rivers State in 2015 or 2019, when a court did ask them not to conduct, primaries until congresses were concluded, and people who had applied to buy forms were allowed to purchase forms. At the end of the day, the court held that failure to allow them to purchase, forms was excluding them from the process, and that also led to the nullification of everything that had been done at those convention and primaries.
Yeah.
So also, lastly on this, there's this back and forth argument. A lot of people had argued that the Supreme Court had consistently held that the court should not interfere in parties' internal mechanism. No, the court had consistently held that the Supreme Court had held that the courts cannot impose, cannot appoint leaders for political parties. But in places where the constitution of the party spells out the steps, preemptive steps that should be taken before certain actions are conducted, the court had, not shied away in rising to the occasion to interpret, such steps and nullify, decisions taken when such steps are not, taken. Those preemptive steps are not taken. So in this case, I would say that the judgment in the ruling on Friday allowed the PDP convention. And so far, you can say that judgment subsisted. The convention is legal until, other judgments of the courts other decisions of the court will come up. Let's see what the Court of Appeal will say in all of that, and then eventually the Supreme Court. But I hate to say, this might be the beginning of the end of PDP.
I've also heard other people say that Sule Lamido's court case appears to be central to all of this. He's argued that he was denied a nomination form, and then Justice Lifu ruled in his favor, restraining INEC. What, in your opinion, are the implications of that for the legitimacy of the convention, especially with INEC's presence or absence at that convention?
You see, let's even take out INEC presence or absence in this case. Let's, like I referred to the case in Rivers State, where I think it was Godwin Abe's supporter who approached the court against the APC then, when Wike was governor in Rivers State, for refusal to allow them purchase nomination, or that they purchased nomination but they were excluded from the primary process. So in the same vein here, and which was why the courts had their head. Mind you, before Lamido's case, the argument was that failure to hold world congresses in Anambra and I think a few other states in the Southwest was fatal to any convention that the PDP would hold. That all states, world and state congresses must be concluded before the convention can be held. That was the first judgment. And then Sule Lamido had signified his intention to purchase a form because the party had agreed on a consensus candidate. And Sule Lamido said he disagreed and that he had signified his intention to purchase a form, and he was refused. And so he approached the Federal High Court in Abuja. Justice Lifu did rule that he cannot be excluded from the process. Excluding him from the process and going ahead with it was a nullity. And the argument, like what we later saw, the intention was that, well, let's shut out Sule Lamido from the process and then go ahead, and then you can always go back to the court and say the horse has bolted. But the issue is there was a subsisting court order restraining the convention from going ahead on the ground of Sule Lamido's complaints. So whether the court in Oyo had also asked them to go ahead with the convention is a different matter altogether. It does not preclude Sule Lamido from continuing or concluding his case. And that's Sule Lamido's case, like I said, because he also was not suspended. Because the argument in most cases can be that once you are suspended from a political party, you no longer have the locus to challenge decisions of the party. So, but in the case of Sule Lamido, he is not suspended from the party. He remains a member of the party, even though he feels, bad, according to him, that he'd never imagined that the day will come when he will have to be suing PDP and requesting that the convention should not hold. But be that as it may, he's still a member of the party, and if he's not placated and he takes his matter to the highest level, that might affect whatever convention that had been held. And that's the court might eventually hold that PDP ought to a court order, no matter how no matter how they see the court order. I don't want to use the word that is coming to mind.
I hear you. Some political side talks say, Sulu Lamido's presence at one ADC meeting was the reason why they probably blocked him from getting the nomination form. But I want you to hear what the Adamawa state governor said at the ground of that convention, which brings to mind again precisely the position of the Electoral Act as to the presence or absence of INEC at such convention and what it means for its legality. Here's exactly what he said.
What we need is entrenched unity of purpose and better resolve and courage to soldier on beyond the election of our national officers. In the absence of INEC and as contend with merits of litigation for and against this convention, as the chairman, NCOC, it is not within my prerogative to go on with this exercise. It is for the delegates to decide. Thank you and God bless.
You heard him citing the...
It's interesting because this guy now Wike, Atiku guy, literally, one can argue that Atiku make a governor twice. If you remember, Aisha Benani almost kicked his ass during the last election. So this is Atiku's state. So if the man is not pivot to him, that's a problem. So the question still remain open. Wike cannot be expelled. I think it's too late. But this is a very interesting take from this guy. But there's a new development right now, still within the PDP. The PDP ongoing shenanigan. McCarthy. These are the PDP establishments, if I have to use that word. These are the PDP bigwigs. These are by virtue of their membership from the inception of the party, make them kind of a force to reckon with. So former governor of Kaduna State, Senator Ahmed McCarthy, has officially stepped down as secretary of the board of trustee of the PDP, of the People Democratic Party, PDP, citing zoning principle and the emergence of a new national chairman from this geopolitical zone. This is getting interesting. It's getting spicier. Woo-hoo. So that means he is saying that whatever happened in Vegas, he stays in Vegas, remain in Vegas. Pretty much whatever happened at the conventions in terms of the electing a new officer stays. That's what it means. Means that Senator Kabiru, right, the former minister who has been chosen as the new PDP chairman, is from his zone, Northwest. It's getting sweet, huh? So citing zonal principle and the emergence of a new national chairman from this geopolitical zone, his resignation followed the election of former Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Kabiru Turaki, as the new PDP national chairman. As the party national convention in Ibadan, okay, in his resignation letter dated November 17, 2025, and addressed to the board chairman, Senator Adolphus Wabara, McCarthy said his decision was grounded in long-held conviction about fairness and balance within the party leadership structure. The principal reason for my resignation then and now was and is still my belief that the national chairman of the party and the secretary should not come from the same geopolitical zone, he wrote. Now that the chairman has emerged from the Northwest, where I come from, it is necessary to give him full space to this needful. To the needful. He added that the stepping aside would eliminate any perception of imbalance and promote internal harmony within the PDP. The former governor revealed that the November resignation was not his first attempt to leave the position. I recall posting a resignation message on the PDP board WhatsApp platform 2 months earlier, but was persuaded to stay. You might recall that about 2 months ago, I had resigned and as secretary of the board and posted on the board website, Mr. Chairman, you may recall that I did that. My decision is about fairness, So, the men are coming together against Wike. Bello, yeah, this man know this eye to eye before, so I'm not surprised that he's calling a Wike cancer. Wike will remove the cancer that has been crippling PDP, former governor. Are you sure of that? Let's see. The former governor of Niger State, Muaz Babangida Aliyu, has applauded the explosion of the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Let's see what he said. Let's go to what he said. If we make the mistake, let's see, see, Aliyu said, like surgeon will remove a cancer, the cancer that has been part of our party that has crippled the party. We will hope that with the removal of the cancer, the party may be able to move and give Nigerians an option or what to do. He also warned against turning the country into a one-party system, saying that the consequences will be devastating. If we made the mistake of creating a one-party state in Nigeria, we will pay for it. So it's good that we give in an alternative to the Nigerian populace, he added. If we not really want to give Nigeria alternative platform, we not give Obi the tickets. Let's see if you guys... Let's see if the guy, if they really put the nation first, right? That would be interesting. Me say I would join PDP. If this motherfuckers give a big ticket, I mean, I know I ain't shit, but fuck it. I will be in if these people can fuck around with that shit. They fuck around and find out, but I know they will not. So what's up? Anyway, let's go back to the debate that is shaping the PDP canvas.
Contend with merits of litigation for and against this convention. As the chairman, NCOC, it is not within my prerogative to go on with this exercise. It is for the delegates to decide. Thank you and God bless.
You heard him citing the multiplicity of litigations and indeed the absence of INEC as a reason why he wouldn't continue with that exercise. Some notable absence would also include the Rivers State governor and the governor of Plateau State, Governor Mutfwang. Both of them, Governor Fintiri and Mutfwang, have now reacted publicly, saying that they do not support the expulsion of those senior officers. But what is the position of the law? Because as some have said, INEC's absence means that what Sheyi Makinde had in Ibadan was just a gathering of friends. How do you react to that?
Difemi, like I said, what I just hope and I pray that this does not signal the beginning of the end of PDP. A political party is a political party. It's not a political party until it is recognized by INEC and it is allowed to feed candidates by INEC. And that's why you find out that most times they always pander to the body language of INEC until INEC recognize, if you have factions in any political party, there's a tendency to always wait for INEC to issue a statement declaring which side they recognize. Before now, it was the prerogative of INEC to not just monitor, but to announce elected officials, until the court judgment in Ganifa Emi's case that said INEC's responsibility is just to monitor and not participate. So if INEC, if you're holding a convention and INEC is clearly absent in your convention, what it means, like some persons have said, considering the fact that there were court judgment, what it means is that truly it might end up as a gathering of just friends, or like some people describe it as a jamboree. But like I said, we'll wait to see if truly what the court will say. If the court, Justice Omotosho, Justice Lifo, and the court in Oyo, if what the Court of Appeal will say thereof, and what the Supreme Court will subsequently say. But I can tell you, sitting here, that the failure of INEC to monitor that process is fatal. It's fatal to the outcome at the end of the day. And we have seen it before. And that's why I am saying that I just hope that this is not the beginning of the end for the PDP. But one would expect ordinarily that INEC should not would not wait for the political parties to go to court to litigate before giving direction. I also blame INEC here because I would have expected that INEC would sit down once there are issues like this. INEC as a regulator should be able to sit down and spell out the guidelines for the political parties and what must be done, and not to wait for litigation and then you have to begin to wait for which judgment will come and which judgment wouldn't come. INEC failed in that responsibility because as a regulator, what's your responsibility? You wait, you fold your hands, two warring factions are fighting, you have not said anything, you say, oh, go to court, and when the court rules, and that's what I will be. That's not the job of a regulator. The job of a regulator is to sit down, spell out the guideline that must be followed, and that must be strictly followed. And the failure to follow those guidelines, that way, INEC had declared a position ab initio, and everybody will fall into line. That will save all of this multiplicity of court action because the rules are clearly stated. But in a situation where INEC is waiting for the court to tell them what to do or what not to do, it also will not encourage, the deepening our political democracy.
It may not be that simple for INEC because as we speak right now, the PDP faction that held the convention in Ibadan do not even have access to the national headquarters of the party in Abuja. Will INEC tell Wike and his people to vacate the national headquarters? You don't think that perhaps it's the court that can decide who truly is in charge, concerned as we speak?
No, in this case, first and foremost, when INEC asks to vacate, INEC will spell out the clear guidelines that must be followed before a national convention, even if they are stated in the constitution and everybody knows what is INEC's position as regards the conduct of a national convention. Some persons are saying that ward and state primaries congresses were not held in some states. What is INEC's position? Some of us who are knowledgeable and who have been following these things know. But how many people know? As INEC come out with a paper to say for Congress to be conducted or for convention to be held by any political party, these are the guidelines according to the rules of the political party. But in this case, I guess they also would not want to make such statements because they wouldn't want to shoot themselves in the foot, because if you bring out clear guidelines and another political party that you're leaning favorably, you're disposed to, also now flouts those guidelines, and then you do not say anything, then INEC becomes partisan. In this case, I think that even because what had happened clearly also has shown that there is a deep divide in PDP, that there is no way the court would not have stepped in. But for going ahead to conduct a convention, we won't be having this discussion if the INEC had clearly stated that, well, these are the guidelines. No matter what the court says, these are the guidelines that must be followed. Let us
talk about the expulsions for a minute. Wike, Fayose, Anyawu, quite a number of others expelled for anti-party activities. Some have said that perhaps it is coming too late. you know, depending on what your definition of anti-party is, would you say that the timing, was it a function of what was done or the timing of it politically for the PDP?
I think that the expulsion of people like Wike and co from the party, you know, was long overdue. Some persons that were expelled from this party didn't do half of what Wike had done. You remember when Oshomole was suspended from his ward when he was national chairman of APC, and, you know, he wasn't up to this. But Wike had consistently played anti-party activities, had been the bone in the neck of his own political party, and yet he remains there. But even the way they had gone about it also clearly is wrong. I would have expected that they would go about this clearly, so as not to give the man Wike, you know, a last laugh. But the way they have gone about it, it is obvious that it's a non-starter, because you are holding a convention that you have 4 judgments and 3 of the judgments are against you, and you went ahead to hold that convention. INEC is not there. It is in that convention that you are. I also would have expected that the expulsion should come from the ward level, where also at the end of the day, the Congress will what do you call it now, adopt what they had done at the ward level. But it is difficult for any ward chairman in Rivers State to say they want to expel Wike from the party. So that's why one would they to do it, you know, at the national level, you know. But I think, like I said, really some of these persons, they played anti-party activities enough in the party that if that party was truly up and doing, they have no business in the PDP.
Linked to that, however, is also, well, when you say they have no business, it's also a function of who runs the party, who has the real political clout, who has been winning elections. You know, I heard Wike say the other time that these delegates were even talking about what is the PDP might in Lagos, you know, who has really won election for the PDP in the past, you know, 4 or 8 years. But we also saw at the PDP convention that the party structures in certain states were dissolved, in states like Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Abia. It looks like an attempt to take back the party. But what is the party in Enugu, for instance, where Mr. Governor has gone to the APC, but we hear that he's still very much in charge within the PDP. What are the chances of the PDP taking back these structures? Because they don't seem to have presence. All the big individuals there are now, you know, partying with the APC. In the opposition? Yes. You know, first and foremost, let's start with winning election. Nifemi, let's start with winning election. When these politicians talk about winning election, yes, you can say, not being a politician, they know how they play their game, but winning election, really, we know how elections are won in Nigeria. Once you are, you know, in line or in tune with the party at the center, and then you have the financial war chest, it becomes very easy for you to manipulate the process. And once you manipulate the process, it's difficult for the courts, you know, to look deeply into it, because the time is not there, coupled with the fact that the presumption of regularity is in favor of the conduct of the election. That said, so when people talk about, who is actually winning election, you can't say you're winning election and at the same time you are the pain in the neck of the political party. I also blame the people like Atiku Abubakar. After he left the PDP, he came back to the PDP, and after this presidential election in 2019, abandoned the PDP, went on exile. It was almost as if he was on sabbatical. He only comes to contest, and then left people like Wike to fund the party. And funding the party, certainly we own the structure. So that's why I can tell you that they were the one that won election. And then now, his inability to also win the election in 2023, despite consistent pressure on him not to contest, and he went ahead to contest. And now, you know, it is obvious that he certainly cannot even steer the ship of the party. Now he had left the PDP. He hasn't officially joined the ADC. And most of the governors are running away from the problem they created in PDP. And why they left, and you know, I can tell you that all the governors that have left PDP quickly, I can tell you that they still control the structures of the PDP in their state until after the election. Because if you do not,
If you do not do that, the tendency for somebody to hijack that structure and use it to run against them will be very high.
All right.
So that is why they still have interest there, and they want to control whoever is in that party. But the way Sheyi Makinde and his people went about it certainly will not bring solution, because now you have multiplicity. I think they first and foremost need a reconciliation committee.
Yes. Good place to leave it, because we have completely run out of time. You know, the Wike-led faction say they have called an emergency neck meeting for Wednesday. Perhaps we're also going to see some counter expulsion in the coming days. Interesting developments, and we'll stay on top of it. Thank you for talking to us, Liberals Oshoma, live from our studio in Abuja. Remember, you can watch it again at midnight and 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
Interesting times ahead. Let's get into our conversation for tonight. The PDP is once again facing internal turbulence as its governors appear divided over calls for the expulsion of some of the party's influential figures, including Nyesom Wike, Ayo Fayoshi, and Samuel. Also asked whether PDP National Organizing Secretary Umar Sani, acting national chairman of the Wike faction of the party, Mohammed Abdurrahman, chairman of the faction's newly inaugurated Board of Trustees, Mao Uwabua, Austin Nwachukwu, George Turner, Abraham Amadi, and Dan Obi. The disagreement, which reflects deeper tensions within the PDP, is raising fresh questions about unity and the party's direction ahead of upcoming political contests. Tonight, we take a closer look at the growing rifts and what it could mean for the future of the party. Political affairs analyst Jerry Chukwuke is my guest tonight. Also joining me virtually from Kebbi State is Umar Aminu Kalgo, is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the program. Good evening, Mr. Chukwuke.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Kalgo, can you hear me? Good evening to you. Welcome to Politics Tonight. All right. So let me start with you, Mr. Chukwuke. Right. Because many have called the PDP all sorts of names for allowing top guns in the party who engaged in anti-party activities in the last election stay in the party without doing anything, especially the minister, Nyesom Wike. So is his expulsion long overdue?
Well, let me say this. There are several sides of this story. But I think that what is important, in my view, is that the PDP now has the opportunity to truly start to rebuild their party, because the train has left the station for 2027. There is no doubt about that. And I think, therefore, the focus ought to be not necessarily recycling the old politicians, but go out, come up with a proper agenda and a template to go on recruitment drive. New ideas people, fresh blood, private sector people.
You're not answering my question.
No, but wait a second, that's the future. We're talking about 2027.
No, let's talk about what happened 2 days ago.
Yes.
Is his expulsion long overdue?
Well, I can't. My point is there are several sides of that story, and Mr. Wike, former Minister Wike, Minister Wike rather, former governor, will tell you that that position doesn't stand on legality. I mean, so here's his own side of the story.
An expulsion. From all the sides you have seen,
yes,
and from your analysis of all the sides you've seen,
yes,
is that expulsion long overdue?
I can't comment on that without taking a position that will be essentially not in compliance with the law and all the different rulings. There's a bit of confusion going on. And I think that continuing to absolutely bid on the issue of who is right and who is wrong at PDP at this stage does not serve our country any purpose that is meaningful. Because we need credible and viable opposition. This government needs it and welcomes it. And I just think that rather than all of this back and forth, chicken and the egg, and they don't seem to have a solution, to focus on the future. Get on out now and start to rebuild this party. Be forward thinking, new ideas people, fresh blood, recruit people from the private sector. Show me a reason why they must join. Nigerians want to be a part of the system.
That's what I'm saying.
Professionals, people in the diaspora. Get on out and bring a new breed of politicians and quit recycling the old names and the same people over and over again, and we go back to motion without movement. Because 2027, in my view, it's like I said, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. The train has left the station.
For the PDP?
I think that Mr. President and my party is so way ahead, it's not even funny. So if I were the PDP people, because I believe, and many Nigerians want credible opposition, they need to focus on rebuilding the party for the future, and less focus on 2027.
And given that Nyesom Wike, currently serves as the FCT minister in an APC-led administration, what do you think the political implications would be if this decision stands?
Well, again, I just have, when you look at what's going on in the PDP, and we're going to see more in the next few days, with Minister Nyesom Wike's faction holding a neck beating and also essentially driving their own agenda. I call it chicken and the egg. At this point, if the objective is 2027, it's too late. But I think they ought to be now forward-looking to rebuild that party, but bring fresh people into the game. We need new ideas in the opposition.
So with the expulsion of Wike, Ayofaish and the likes, it's time for fresh blood to come into the party.
Well, I'm not talking about the expulsion per se. I'm saying that the party or any other credible opposition, whether it's the ADC or PDP or whatever mix, it is time to start to rebuild for the future. With fresh blood, new ideas, and people who bring value, and many Nigerians are eager to join. But 2027, I believe the train is left the station.
What Mr. Kago would say.
There's a new development, which is a fuse between Obasanjo and Fayose. So I think we should we should switch over to that. So I'll end this section and